Welcome to The Naked Truth. And now, your host, Bridget Barclay.
Good evening, America, and good morning, England. It seems so long since I've been doing this, and I've been off. I apologise. I am your host. This is The Naked Truth, and I am Bridget Barclay, and I'm back with a great guest tonight. I don't think it really takes much to know if you haven't seen any of the documentaries or have read any of his books and his new book coming up. It's Robert Salas, Captain Robert Salas we have. He served for 7 years active duty in the Air Force. He's been speaking publicly for 20 years while he had his own incident in Montana in 1967. I'm going to let him introduce himself a little bit more because obviously I want to make sure that I get it right. And he's definitely going to get it right. So without further ado, Robert. Hi, Bob. Hello.
Hi,
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to my show.
It's great to be with you again. How long has it been? 10 years, 12 years?
2014. In England. Here in England, I can't remember what time of year it was, but I remember it was very, very cold, and it was at Gary Hesseltine's conference, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
And you're with Marilyn as well. So say hi to Marilyn for me as well.
Yeah, she's. I think she's cooking.
Taking notes and making coffee.
She's cooking dinner, I hope.
Ooh, nice, lovely. Right. So, welcome to The Naked Truth. I have wanted you on for absolutely ages because I've wanted some people that I've met in the past that have meant something to me, and the fact that you were a whistleblower right at the very beginning, and you had said to me that you'd had a marvelous, amazing encounter when you were in the the Air Force, but you'd had other encounters as well. So I do want to get into that, but I want to get into that later on because I think that's really something that I really want to hear about. And I think lots of other people want to hear about because you don't really discuss it as much. So tell me a bit more about your captain days, please.
Okay, well, very briefly, because I've been speaking about this for over 30 years.
Oh, is it 30? Sorry, I apologize.
I can, in 1967, I was on missile duty. I was in charge of 10 nuclear missiles. These were Minuteman I ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. When an object came over and disabled all 10 of them, this object just hovered over our facility, over the front gate, scared the heck out of our guards, and proceeded to quickly send a signal to each of our missiles to disable them. It did no damage, no permanent damage to the systems at all. It simply sent a signal to upset the guidance system on the missiles so that they couldn't be launched.
For how long?
I would say they were disabled for 24 hours approximately. They were
somewhat.
They would have to be retargeted. And so we had to send teams out to each of the 10 sites, and retarget the missiles. I was obligated not to say anything about this incident. We had to sign non-disclosure agreements, and I did not say anything about this until 1994.
All right, okay.
In 1994, which was 27 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a bookstore and came across a book called Above Top Secret by your countryman.
Tim. Yeah, lovely man.
Tim Good. And on page 301 of that book, which I happened to turn to, I saw a short paragraph stating that UFOs had shut down missiles in Montana in 1967, 66, 67. And I immediately thought that the Air Force, I was hoping,
Had leaked it.
had not leaked it, but declassified the incident.
Yeah. Okay.
So I contacted the Mutual UFO Network and got a hold of an investigator, James Klotz, who helped me submit some Freedom of Information Act requests for documents. To our surprise, we didn't say anything about UFOs. We just wanted documents on this particular incident outlined in Timothy's book. They wrote back and said, this is classified. However, since it's been so long, we're going to declassify the incident and send you documents. So
lucky you got in contact then.
Yeah. So because of that, I went public and said, this was my incident, which it was not, by the way. This was because I was really not aware at the time that two separate, what we call launch control centers, had all their missiles disabled in the same month, really.
Yeah, about a week before, I think I heard, wasn't it?
About 8 days.
Yeah.
Difference. But anyway, I thought it was mine, so I started talking publicly and going on radio shows, gave a newspaper interview, and that got me started on talking, even though later on I found out that I was at a different location. So technically, I was and still am in violation of that non-disclosure agreement that I signed.
You still got a story to tell.
I'm still talking. I'm still
yeah, good for you. Yeah. Right. So the other one in Montana, how far away in Montana, 8 days before from you, where you were?
I wasn't far. I was some 40 miles away. But that distance doesn't mean much.
Not to a UFO, it doesn't. Maybe as the crow flies, but wow. Okay. All right. So because you were down below and you got a call, didn't you? That's right. So you, from a guy shouting down that it was red, hovering, maneuvering around backwards and forth, still. How did you feel when because had you heard anything like that before over the radio?
Never. We
right. Okay.
Never had any kind of an incident like that before.
Okay.
And I was stationed there for over 3 years, and
Okay.
we never had anything like that.
So what was your thoughts?
Initially, I thought we were under some kind of an attack because of the way he was speaking. He was very frightened. He had all the guards with their weapons out, and
right.
So I definitely thought we were under some sort of an attack, and we had incursions at 2 of the launch facilities, meaning we had indicator lights on our panel showing that possibly some entry into where the missiles were actually located. They were actually about a mile or 2 away from the launch control center. And they saw them again, and they lost radio contact during that sighting also.
What, they saw them again that night? So how did they disappear? How did they disappear?
Well,
one or
the
two?
one that
How
was
many?
hovering, the one that was hovering above us just took off after I talked to the guard the second time, and then the other sites that we had these incursion lights on. We sent guards out there to check that out, and they saw the objects again there. So, they were there for a while. I don't know how long, because the guards came back quite frightened again, and they lost radio contact with us for a while.
Oh, right. Okay, I didn't know that. So obviously you can't leave your position down below.
No, we were locked in.
Right.
Obviously, because if it had been some kind of an attack,
yeah.
and the bad guys got access to our weapons, we would be in a bad situation. So we had to keep the doors locked.
Okay, so did the other sighting in Montana, were they the same type of energy craft? Was it the sort of same description?
Well, those descriptions were pretty much the same as I recall. The officer in charge of that other Echo flight was the call sign for that flight. I spoke with him. By the way, all this evidence that I've got, or most of it, is on my website, spiralgalaxy.org, if anybody wants to check it out.
Okay, Race can put that on. He can find that one.
And that includes audio tape, phone calls I made with the man that was in charge of Echo Flight during his incident, and also my commander, Fred Mywald, when we spoke, and this was 1996. So yeah, all that information is out there. We've got our most of our documents on that website, and of course in my books. I've written 3 books. One is called Faded Giant.
Race has those. He can put those ones up as well and show us. Yeah.
And the next one was Unidentified UFO Phenomenon. And the recent book, which just came out in November of last year, is called UAPs and the Nuclear Puzzle.
Big puzzle. It's very hard to fit that puzzle together, isn't it? Gosh.
But I've identified at least 13 separate incidents where UFOs have been seen or interacted with nuclear weapons facilities.
Yeah, because obviously we've got Rendlesham over here, and that was in 1990. Now, which is quite bizarre. A lady that I used to run a witness support group, she had a UFO sighting, an abduction in Bristol on Windmill Hill on the same weekend as Rendlesham Forest, and there was a group of people that got abducted. And it always gives me goosebumps about that, really, because when she told me Rendlesham, the night of Rendlesham Forest, I'm thinking, oh my God, so you've got a craft that's having an abduction, then it's going up to Rendlesham, because that's up at sort of Sizewell, that's up further up country than Bristol. But I thought that it was a very strange coincidence that had happened. I wonder, did anyone else report the Montana one then? Did anyone come forward to speak as well about that encounter, the other one?
Well, Mike, which other one? You're talking about
the 8 days before?
Yeah. Like I said, my the man who was in charge of that facility.
Oh, right, of that one, yeah.
Colonel Walter Fiegel has come forward, spoke with me. I've got audio tape of our conversation.
Yeah.
And he goes over the details of what happened there. And there's plenty of documentation regarding Echo Flight as being a UFO event. And again, I've got this. I've also got a YouTube channel if people want to go there.
I didn't know that. Much excitement. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, Race.
I've got video. I've made a series of 7 videos, short videos.
Oh, wow.
Which go into some detail on what happened at both of those flights on those 2 nights.
I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Right, I'm definitely on YouTube after this. Right. So when me and you met, you said something that sort of to me, and I'm thinking, really? You said to me that you had had an abduction, you'd seen beings. And now we're going back some time, okay? We're going back, 2014. And I told you about my encounter out in Los Angeles that I'd had that involved military helicopters and sort of men in black car. Whether you remember it now is regardless. But at what point did you start having encounters with other objects besides, the where you were on the boat with the Air Force?
Okay, so the only one I recall in detail, and the reason I do recall the details is because I've had 4 regression sessions, hypnotic regression sessions.
Okay. Mhm.
And this happened in 1985. 1985.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay.
So it was after my incident at Malmstrom, but before I went public.
Okay. So 85. So do you think then that it was sort of orchestrated, sort of staged for you to be a part of that for now, for like disclosure?
Well, do I think, would you ask me
Well,
that question again?
okay, all right, okay. Do you think that your encounter back then in Montana was sort of staged for you to be having continuous encounters? So they've given you other encounters because they wanted you to go public about that one.
Well, typically, people who have had abduction experiences have more than one. It
Yeah.
seems to be a common thread. So I would say, there's a good possibility that the reason I was abducted in 1985 had to do with kind of a hello again from from our space brothers, um, uh, and possibly encouraging me, let's say, in some way, although I
Yeah.
don't remember that,
Okay.
encouraging me to speak out about my incident,
Yeah.
which I later did in 1994, like I said.
Yeah.
Uh, so I can go
Was
over
it?
that
Sorry, carry on.
if you'd like. I can
Yes,
brief.
please. Yeah, I was just about going to say, were you with anybody else? Start me off for 1985 then.
Okay, so I was in a particular home in Manhattan Beach, California. Uh,
I know
we
Manhattan.
had
Oh.
we had been lucky enough to buy in to that area. Uh, I think I got the last VA loan on one of the homes that was for sale in Manhattan Beach.
Mhm.
Um, and I decided to buy, let's say, fixers, and fix them up, and then sell them at a profit, and then buy another home and do the same in hopes of getting closer to the beach. It's a beach community.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing. So in 85, I remember the exact house I was in at that time.
Mm.
And I had 2 small children with me and my wife, Marilyn. Um, and sometime in the evening, I can't give you a date, but I know it was in that year. Sometime in the evening, I woke up for some reason and noticed there was a blue light coming from our living room. And we had no blue lights in our living room. So I woke my wife up, asked her if she saw the blue light, and she said yes.
Mm.
And
Okay.
I said, well, I'm going to have to get up and investigate. So I tried to get up out of bed at that point, and I couldn't. I couldn't move, and I struggled. I really recall struggling with all the strength I had to try to get some movement in my legs or arms, and
Mm-hmm.
I was fairly completely paralyzed. I tried to look over at my wife and ask for help, but now, for some reason, she was unconscious. I couldn't wake her. The next thing I recall is seeing someone or someone that looked human, at any rate, with a hood, uh, standing in the front, standing in the doorway of our bedroom, and it was just standing there. And of course, that was pretty frightening. But again, I struggled hard to try to get my mobility. No luck. I was also aware at this time that there were others in the room. They seemed like children to me. They were small beings. I don't have a conscious memory of what they looked like, but I remember they were small.
Were your children of that height at that time or anything? Did you think for a minute, or could be the kids coming in?
They weren't our children. No, we just have two.
Oh, no, but I'm just saying, did you think that they could have been, no, did you think that they could be the kids that had come in to wake you up or anything?
No, what I didn't know what to think. They were not my
Okay.
children.
Okay.
But they seemed like children to me because of their height.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing, I was lifted off my bed, raised off my bed, and it was floating in the air towards the bedroom window. And I didn't know, I had locked that window. I remember that, and didn't think these smaller beings or children could open the window. They, for some reason,
Yep.
But at any rate, they took me right through the window.
Mm.
I know this sounds ridiculous, but
No.
that's what I recall during my regression, that they took me through the window. No broken glass, nothing broken, just carried me through the window. Next thing I know, I'm on a craft, or actually on a metal table, like a operating room table. And I was shown a long needle. They had held by very long fingers and placed in front of my eyes. And then they communicated telepathically to me that they were going to insert this needle in my groin area, and it wouldn't hurt. When they started to do that, that really hurt.
Yeah.
It was really very, very painful. I told them it was very painful, and as soon as I expressed that, probably telepathically, I don't remember speaking to anyone, but when I expressed that I was in pain, the pain went away rapidly. It was gone.
Okay.
So they did what they were going to do, and then after that, I remember sitting up on the side of the table, and then they took me over to the side of the craft, which was curved, and there was some curved built-in seating built into the side of the craft. I remember sitting there with two beings on either side, and then I was taken to another location in the craft, and another being was there, turned me around and poked two fingers down my spine like this. I guess checking my nervous system. I don't know. And then he turned me back around, and the other two beings escorted me out. By the way, we were floating. We weren't walking.
Yeah.
Escorted me out a curved hallway, and then I saw a bright white light, and next thing I know, I'm back in
your
my
bed.
bed. Yes.
That's
Now,
really.
we did not remember any of this the next morning. Neither my wife or I remembered any of this the next morning.
Okay.
But then flash forward to, let's see, that would be 2008. So this was 85. 15 and 8 is 23. 23 years later.
You're the maths teacher. Yes, sorry.
23 years later, I'm speaking at a conference in Carrick-on-Shannon in Ireland. And there's a woman there who got up and spoke about her experience and said that her bedroom was flooded with blue light. And my wife was sitting next to me, and I turned to her and I said, "Do you recall an incident that happened at our house in Manhattan Beach where we saw a blue light?" And she said, yes, she confirmed that.
I'm going to have to hold you here. I'm going to have to race a saying that we need a break. So you're going to leave on a cliffhanger at the minute. So we're just going to go into commercial break. We're going to come back with Bob Salas, and he's going to continue with his abduction in Manhattan Beach.
Thank you.
Are you thinking about purchasing a wood-fired heating or cooking appliance but don't know where to start? The new book, Wood-Fired Heating and Cooking, will guide you through the process and make the decision much easier. Find out about wood stoves, wood-burning fireplace inserts, masonry heaters, cook stoves, brick ovens, and more. Learn about operation and maintenance, buying and storing wood, even how to make your own charcoal. A bonus section includes delicious recipes for cooking in a wood-burning oven, grill, tandoori oven, or smoker. The wise homeowner, prepper, or homesteader will have the ability to heat their home with wood when the power goes out or to save money on increasing gas bills. Wood-fired heating and cooking is available at Amazon. Visit www.woodfiredpub.com for more information. That's woodfiredpub.com.
Okay, welcome back to my podcast, Naked Truth. We have Robert Salas here with us, Captain Robert Salas. Right. You know, when there's times, Bob, when you don't want a commercial break. I didn't want one then, and I apologise. Right. It's 1985. You're in Huntington Beach, and
No,
you have
Manhattan
oh,
Beach.
Manhattan Beach. Sorry, Manhattan Beach. And you have just gone back. You're at a conference, and you're talking to Marilyn, saying, "Do you remember the light, the blue light in your coming from your sitting room?"
Right, and we hadn't spoken about it since 1985. I mean, we didn't even speak about it then.
Hmm.
But that's how much time had gone by, and she confirmed to me that she recalled the blue light that I asked her if she saw in our living room, and she confirmed that. So immediately, actually, that night, um, I had my first regression and got some more details, and then, like I said, I've had 3 other regressions that have produced more details, and I may have one more coming up in the near future.
Who can I ask? Who did you go with regression with?
Okay, so that was, gosh, what's
Lady,
her
gentleman?
a lady from Australia.
Oh, so Barbara Lamb?
Was that?
Barbara Lamb?
No, not Barbara Lamb.
Um, oh, the lady from the conference that we were at.
Uh, I c I
Oh
know
gosh, I
I can't
got
recall her
messed
name
back
right
too.
now. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
all right,
Yeah.
okay. So, did when you went through the regression and you saw yourself on a table, all of the feelings, all of the sensations, gliding. Yeah, I know that feeling. And being on a table, know that feeling as well. Know that feeling of being looking out. I looked out of a window and saw Earth down below. Did you, when you recalled that, do you then think, oh my God, how did I forget that? Is there a part of you that thinks, or is there a part of you thinks, well, I'm not totally sure, but I'm just recalling what's coming, coming to my mind?
Yeah, as I was getting these details from regressions, yeah, after I thought about it, I was amazed that I had forgotten about
Yeah.
that. So I
Well,
think I
people
think
say they don't.
they are doing that intentionally. They, for some
Yeah.
reason, they don't want us to recall,
Mm.
um, for some reason. I don't know what.
Neither do I. Neither do I. But yet there are some people that absolutely recall with clarity without the hypnosis.
Yes,
So we are all so different in all of this. Um,
yes.
and there's no rhyme and reason for any of it. You said that you
Now,
gone in were gliding through the window. Well,
yes.
I remember forgetting a UFO encounter with what was like a bed mattress with all little lights in it, gliding above the bed with me and my old partner that I witnessed this UFO with. It was gliding with all these little lights, and it went into the wall behind us. So it was just gliding over the bed, then over the pillow, then into the wall. And you're just seeing this massive object, just doing that.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So continue.
Well,
Continue.
there's not much else to say other than I did have dreams
Mhm,
after I had my regressions.
mhm. Yeah, it opens a
I had
floodgate.
some dreams that I think are related to my experience, but I'm not
Mm,
sure. I had a dream of seeing a giant glassy black eye very
mhm,
close to my face.
mhm,
I've had dreams of seeing space, the blackness of space with the stars,
mhm,
um, things like that. And I kept a journal. So I've got, like I say, I'm thinking of having, I'm trying to organize having another regression now. And
mhm.
go over some of the dream sequences that I've journaled.
Mm-hmm.
Robert,
And,
was it Mary Rodwell?
Yes.
that's the one.
Yeah,
Thank
there
you.
you go. Thank you. Right. As soon as you said it, of course, that's who we were with.
Mary
We were with
Rodwell.
Mary, weren't we, at the
There you go.
conference? Oh, bless you. Oh. You've redeemed yourself for being off poorly. Yes. Oh, right. So did Mary come over to America, or did you go over to Mary?
No, she was actually speaking there in Ireland with
Oh.
me.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I approached her that evening, and
Right.
she did a regression then. And then I've done regressions with Yvonne Smith
Yes.
twice, and also Robert.
I don't know a Robert that starts with a hypnosis with a Robert, so I can't help you there.
Okay, well,
Yvonne's absolutely lovely as well. So yeah. So has Marilyn thought about having hypnosis at all?
well, I've been trying to talk her into it, but she's been reluctant. But she has had her own experiences too.
Okay.
In fact, she will be going on one of the podcasts soon and talking about the experiences she's had.
Yeah. So, and also obviously what she may recall from. I mean, the fact that she remembered it straight away when you're
Right.
sitting next to her and
Right.
that you asked her. So she's obviously had that somewhere in her subconscious, the same as you, floating around, but
Yes.
never thought of it until all it takes is someone to say something. That one word, I mean, I've got goosebumps as I say that now, but all it takes is something in any documentary and you think, oh my God, yes. And it's sort of like a revelation then at that point. And you're right, when you've had hypnosis, you do obviously you go away and you're trying to, like you say, put all the pieces of the puzzle together, but then you do have the dreams and then you think, hang on a minute, that's a really realistic dream. There's too much information in there, and like dreams can be in segments, but you get a whole segment and with feeling, such feeling. And yeah, hypnosis does open that gateway, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't I don't normally remember my dreams as most people.
Mm-hmm.
But I was having some very vivid dreams after I had these regression sessions, and I tried to write down as much detail as I could when I woke up.
Yeah. I think they say to say to yourself at night you want to remember your dreams. I mean, everyone's different, aren't they? Depends what you're going through in life. Sometimes you can really remember them. Sometimes you just don't remember your dreams for some while. So that's interesting about Marilyn then. So she is open to talking about it then.
She's just now beginning to come forward with what she recalls of other experiences that she's had, not necessarily mine, but other experiences that she's had, very vivid ones.
Okay. Because, well, I think it goes hand in hand, really. Well, no, you can live with someone and they not be an experiencer for sure, definitely. But I think if she recalled something that night, the same as you, and she wants to go be public now, what's helped people going public now, like Marilyn, is what's happened in the last 2 to 3 years with the disclosure. More and more people are coming out. So now we're all more able to talk. I'm like you. I've been talking for 30 years about my encounter. Well, 27 years about my encounter, but it happened 30 years ago. And there's no, I mean, that years ago you'd get laughed at and all of and everything else. Now we can talk openly. Look how many podcasts are there for everybody. Look how many TV shows and are around. So yeah, really good for
Yeah, I
Marilyn
think,
to be able to do it. It's good for her. Good for her.
yeah, I think the fact that we have made some progress on disclosure,
Yeah.
it allows people to not worry about too much of the stigma associated with this subject. So
Yeah.
more and more are coming forward with their
Yeah.
experiences, which is
Bec-
great. That's
because
good.
you spoke at the press club
I've spoken at the
Congress.
National Press
Yeah.
Club
Yeah.
many times.
In the very early days as well, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mm.
First time was in 2001, which Stephen Greer organized.
Yep.
And then I spoke many other times. Steve Bassett organized quite
Yep.
a few of disclosure conferences. And
He's a fighter, isn't he? Bless him.
yeah, he's another one that's been fighting a long time for
He
disclosure.
really has. He really has. Yeah, because I've got Dan Willis on in, I think, 3 weeks' time. He's coming on as well, which
Mhm.
is, yeah, that'd be really good to hear his account. So do you, talk to me about your new book that came out in November.
Yeah, well, it's really an updated version of the previous book, but I wanted to update every chapter
Okay.
to talk about the latest developments, for example, in what the government is doing in their attempts at disclosure. Go ahead. They're not doing very well.
I was going to say, you know, I'm no politician or anything like that, but, I really think that they need to take experiences a bit more seriously. I think they need to be interviewing experiences a lot more. I think we know a lot more than lots of people because we've had lifetime of experiences with them. And we don't just deal with just one-off encounters. We have continuous encounters with all different types of things. Every encounter is different. So, and I just think we've been left in the shadows. It's all very well being asked to be in all of the documentaries, but, it'd be nice to stand up and say, hey, this is what's happened to us, and not be a pilot, a police officer, or someone with, statistics and credibility behind you,
Yeah, the latest legislative effort is found in the National Defense Authorization Act of 2024, and it calls for any government office or agency that has information about UAP or UFOs
Mm-hmm.
to come forward with that information.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them some 300 days. And report to the congressional investigative committees involved here. So it's going to be a test for, even though this is an official law, if you will, a regulation or law of the United States, we still have to ensure that the people that do have this information do come
Yeah.
forward. So
Yeah.
the enforcement of this law is something that we'll have to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Like I said, you've got with the activist of Steve Bassett behind you and many more, I just last year with Congress, I know it's moved on a great deal. I want it to be more positive this year than what it was last year, because you've got a lot of people sort of like still, laughing now that it's not good enough.
We'll have to see. Like I said, it's well and good that we write laws saying this and that.
Mhm.
That disclosure must come from these offices,
Mhm.
but it's another matter to see if they actually follow through or or play a game where they say, well, we can't find that document, this document or that document, something happened to it, or, you know, there's any number of excuses they could give. So we'll see how well these laws are going to be enforced.
So you've obviously read your full report then. Obviously you must have wrote a statement, right? So you've seen your original statement again, yeah?
I gave a full report to the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or ARO.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah. Yes,
Are you familiar with that term?
Yes.
ARO?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, but not in the long term, in the long subheading.
Well,
yeah.
Part of that is anomaly resolution, meaning they're supposed to explain to the public or explain to somebody what these objects are to resolve the question of what are these objects and where do they come from and what are they doing. But I did give my account, and it was a 2-hour account. I gave them some 22 exhibits of evidence, written evidence, and then affidavits, other documents, such as what I've got on my website. And I think I did a very good job of proving that my incidents did occur. In fact, they agreed. They thought I did a very good job. I've got that in writing. But still, I gave that in February of 2023. It's been almost a year now. And there's been no public acknowledgement or verification or validation from the Air Force that, yes, these incidents did occur. So that's still a problem.
Bob, we've got a question here from
Sure.
Greg. Can you see the question? Why did Mr. Salas state that it was at November flight on the March the 16th, then it was Oscar flight on March the 16th, then Oscar flight on March the 24th? Why? Just a common mistake. It's late. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here for me.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
When we started receiving documents from the Air Force, one of the documents stated that mentioned rumors of UFO around Echo Flight were, disproven. I use that word, disproven. And then they go on to say that they interrogated the guards at November Flight. So, and because I had forgotten at that point, when I first got the documents, I'd forgotten exactly where I was when this incident occurred. I first thought I was at Echo Flight because that's the documentation we got back. That's what we had requested about Echo Flight. And again, this is simply a matter of recovering memories after so long a time.
I'm guilty of that with my sighting as well, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
Yeah, if you have access to classified information, the best thing to do is try to forget it. And so maybe consciously or subconsciously, I did forget a lot of the details. So I admit I'd made an error. When I wrote my first book, Faded Giant, I think I might have said that I was at November Flight at some point. It wasn't until I contacted Fred Mywald, my commander at the flight, that he told me, no, we were at Oscar Flight.
Yeah.
And at that point, I realized the mistake I had made.
Genuine mistake?
Yeah, it was an honest mistake. I fully admit to that mistake. But we have the details down now because we've got documents showing about the Echo flight shutdown on March
Mhm.
16th, 1967, and then the Oscar flight. We've established the date of March 24th,
See,
1967.
it's easy. It's easy to. It's a stumbling block, isn't it? Because when I had my encounter in Los Angeles and Brentwood, there was another girl. I'd taken a girl for a job interview, and I will always remember her name as Jane. And depending on the early conferences back in the Leeds, very early conferences, the old Graham Birdsall's, I said her name was either, well, now I either said it was Jane or Kelly. I could never remember her name. Now, it's only until recently, like yourself, I've always remembered it's Jane or it was Kelly. Until recently, been in contact with Billy, which is my old partner that had the craft going, the object going above the bed. But he was at the apartment that I lived in when I had my encounter in Los Angeles at Brentwood. So I went back to my apartment and he was there. So I had another encounter and he was there, but obviously it was his friend in the car. So it's a really easy thing. So he's now told me her name was Kelly. He remembers it as Kelly, but I don't know why I remember it as Jane and Kelly. I don't know whether she had a middle name. He doesn't remember. So it's really easy. And, no disrespect to anybody saying, trying to catch us all out. It is 30 years ago. It's traumatic. You're trying to remember everything and then you forget lots of things as well. It's such an easy thing to do.
Yeah,
And yet some things are so solid in your mind. It's just sometimes it's the smallest detail, isn't it, that is forgotten.
yeah, that's correct. And the facilities we would go on duty at were all looked the same. There was no differentiation, especially when down in the capsule where we operated or managed the systems. They were identical. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. So pause for thought, isn't it, really? I mean, so do you think, well, has your children had any experiences at all?
Oh well, I'd rather leave my children out of this
Okay.
discussion.
Okay. All right.
They're both adults now, of course.
Okay. Okay. I know that you talk with your the school children because you are a maths teacher and you talk openly about it, which is
Yes.
absolutely fantastic. I would have loved a maths teacher like you. It's like, oh
Well,
wow. They just don't want to do maths, division to the side. Let's talk.
you're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think it was just a way of connecting with them, especially high
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
kids. Uh, I every chance, every class I had, really,
Brilliant.
I would tell my story,
Brilliant.
because they should
Because you're
know. I
planting the
mean, they
seed then.
should know.
Yeah, of course. You're planting the seed to the children. And, it's all very well them on their games or, doing things. They need to learn the bigger picture of what's going on. And a lot of them, I'm sure, have had experiences themselves or not, but you're
Yes.
just opening their minds.
As a matter of fact, I taught one class in the summer some years back, and told my story to the class, and then asked if any of them had ever seen a UFO.
Wow. Oh, oh
And
gosh.
this little girl in the back of the class just
Oh,
kind of raised her hand very carefully, very cautiously, and she told a story of sitting on her front porch. Um, and again, this is another beach area near Ventura, California.
mhm.
But she and her mother and I think her grandmother were sitting on the front porch, and this triangular object approached them, uh, clearly visible. And then she
Mm.
said, and then we waved goodbye from our back porch.
Oh,
So,
dear.
so there was some missing time from what they saw initially to waving goodbye from the back porch of the house. And
Wow. Wow.
I later asked her if she wouldn't mind if I contacted her mother for more details. And actually, her mother did call me sometime a few days
Oh,
later.
wow.
We did talk and confirmed some of
Oh,
the
wow.
details of what they saw.
That is great. That is so great to have an open conversation with the
Mhm.
girl in the class. What did she say in front of the class itself, or
Yes.
did she come? Right.
Yeah,
Away.
she did. She was very courageous about it. And of course,
Oh,
I needed to have some confirmation from an adult. So
of course. Yeah.
I did, like I said, her mother actually was open to talking about it. And I did confirm what the little girl had said.
Well, something strange happened on my encounter because I had hypnosis with Bud Hopkins, and I recalled Jane Kelly, let's call her, as I'm in the car because it stopped on the freeway. She's no longer next to me. She's now behind me in the back seat. And, so, yeah, I haven't really talked about the hypnosis so much. I am going to do something with the hypnosis. But, yeah, that was quite scary to see underneath the hypnosis that she was no longer next to me. She was behind me. So something obviously happened. Now, I don't know what happened to her. So at all. I have tried to trace her many times. And that's why I spoke to Billy again recently to see if we could, try and track her down again. Because that would be amazing to have the other witness with me, because it's just me. It's just me for 27 years, just saying it over and over again, hoping she'd come forward. No, there's me and you. There we are. There we are over breakfast. Marilyn on the opposite side thinking, oh my God, they're going on again about spaceships. Yeah. Oh, bless. Back in the days. So yeah, it was amazing to meet you, and it is still amazing to talk with you, Bob, really is. And for your courage, and I love the fact that you speak with all of your pupils openly. I do. I'll speak to anyone in the store about it, if someone's ever sent or anything, any given opportunity. And that's what it's about. That's our disclosure. That's how we're doing it as well.
Exactly.
As well as, yeah.
We need
exactly.
to keep speaking out. Keep
Yeah.
speaking out, telling our truth.
Oh yeah, totally.
Whether people laugh at us or not.
No, I don't think they are anymore. If anything, they're saying, you know what? Can you tell me something else? Or do you know this person? I've seen them on that documentary. Blah 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 blah. It goes on. Right, Bob. Thank you so much for joining me on my podcast. I'd love to have you back at some point, along with Marilyn, maybe. And because I know that you went on with Peter, and Peter's absolutely a doll as well, isn't he? Peter Robbins.
Yes.
So I spent a lot of time with him when me and Nick Pope went to New York with Bud to work with Bud Hopkins. But Robert, thank you for sharing so much more.
Bridget.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much for sharing and being very open and very honest. And that's all we can do in being a part of this disclosure. So welcome, Bob, again. Hopefully he'll come back and speak with us. So thank you for it's nice to be back after being off for 3 weeks being poorly. So thank you for listening to The Naked Truth, and we will be back. I will be back next week, and not sure who's going to be on. I'll let you know next week. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.